Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the main card of UFC 190, the next Ronda Rousey fight. That's what we're going to start with. Our returning guest is, of course, Nick Kalikas. MMAoddsbreaker.com is his website, and he opens these lines. He sets these lines for the sportsbooks. I'm very curious to see where he opened this Rousey fight. And also calling in over the phone is James Lynch, an MMA analyst, also with MMAoddsbreaker.com. All right, guys. Ronda Rousey currently minus 1,700. Unbelievable, up from minus 1,500. And I ran some numbers on this. You know, the standard edge that bettors, like to think about is when you have a minus 110 line, 55% chance of winning, you have a 5% edge. At minus 1,700, in order to have a 5% edge on Ronda Rousey, she would have to have a 99.2% chance of winning. Now let's start with you, James Lynch, MMA analyst from MMAoddsbreaker.com. I mean, there's only 100%, right? What are Ronda Rousey's real odds of winning this fight?
They're very good. I mean, you just look at the fact that her record, she's undefeated, 28 years old. She's got the height and reach advantage in this fight. There are a lot of things working in her favor here. Her last two fights were combined 30 seconds. She handed Kat Zingano her first loss in her career in her last fight. She's an Olympic bronze medalist in judo. I mean, there's just so many things we can talk about with Ronda Rousey. Now let's talk about Bethe Correia, 32 years old. She's got that disadvantage with the height and the reach. She trains with the Pitbull brothers in Brazil. That's a very good camp, but her last opponents, they have a combined UFC record of 1-7. I mean, that's a very glaring thing to look at as far as the quality of opposition that Bethe Correia has faced. You have to go with Rousey in this one. The line is obviously very high, but there are some prop bets that I think are worth looking at in this fight for Rousey, because I think she gets it done. And if Correia does somehow pull off the upset, it would be one of the biggest upsets in MMA history, in my opinion.
But listen, we have to regulate a little bit with all the insanity of these numbers, right? Minus 1,700. I mean, that's a real number. It has real implications. It means that Ronda Rousey has a 95% chance of winning this fight, roughly. Do you think that's appropriate? I mean, she's not fighting, skanks from the mall here. She's fighting, other trained MMA. I mean, Bethe Correia is undefeated. I know that she hasn't beaten anyone that's maybe impressed anyone too much, but she's a trained MMA fighter. Does Ronda Rousey really have like a 96% chance of winning this fight?
Absolutely, and I feel very strong in saying that. I believe her skill set is well and above everyone else in the division, and I just feel like the odds are reflecting that, and I don't see a way that Ronda Rousey loses unless she gets injured or she has some sort of mental breakdown, fighting in Brazil. But I think Ronda Rousey is definitely going to win this fight. I feel very confident about it.
All right. Nick Kalikas, yesterday when I checked these odds, Rousey was minus 1,500. I was like, I know all the hype. I know who Ronda Rousey, everyone loves her. I was like, there's no way that line's going to stay there. It's going to go down. Now it's minus 1,700. Where'd you open this line, Nick?
Minus 1,500 was the exact opener, actually. So, yeah, originally, a lot of people's reactions when I open a 1,500 line is, oh, that's a little high. That's crazy. But in this case, it wasn't as much of that talk. But I do have to always put Rousey's lines up. I mean, let's not forget popularity is a part of this all amongst especially the normal fans, the casual fans out there that just know Rousey, from just the fame that she's recently achieved with the movies, with all that stuff. So, I mean, her persona right now is amazing. And she is, besides Conor McGregor, is the only one that can actually challenge her right now as being the biggest draw in the UFC. So that is always going to impact the line. So no matter what, I have to add quite a bit of juice to Rousey. Of course, we all know that. But her ability is the other part. I mean, definitely, Correia is honestly the easiest fight that she's had thus far. I believe that So, I mean, you got to think of it as it is. I mean, she's beaten two of her former teammates, or two of her current teammates, I should say, Rousey's teammates, the four horsewomen, sort of say. So the UFC's kind of using Correia basically as a script. I mean, she beat a couple of her teammates, so Ronda Rousey wants revenge now. But realistically, Correia shouldn't even be in this title shot. I mean, even we just seen Jessica Ai get defeated by Miesha Tate this past weekend. Honestly, Jessica Ai was more deserving to get that title shot probably before Correia. But again, the storyline didn't fit as well, so they gave Correia the shot over a fighter like Ai. And unfortunately for Ai, she just got defeated this weekend, so she's not going to be getting that title shot soon. But Miesha Tate is next, which is going to be interesting. It's a whole other fight, obviously. But that being said, I mean, Correia is okay. She's a solid fighter, but there's really not much of a threat. She's not that knockout artist on the feet that you have to fear. She has okay striking. She has a little bit of power for sure, but she's not devastating in any areas. I mean, she has an okay ground game, nothing special. She has okay wrestling, nothing special. And you can say that about her stand-up game as well. So I just don't see any area really that she's better than Rousey in.
I'm thinking, as popular as Rousey is, with the line where it is, I'm wondering, are you actually going to get much betting action? Are the books going to see much betting action on this fight? Because either people are going to bet Correia, or they're actually going to lay 1,500, 1,700, 1,800 on Rousey, and I can't really see the public doing either of those.
Yeah, I bet it's going to be probably the lowest handle that we've seen on a Rousey fight. I know her lines tend to be a little ridiculous, but this will be. But I do think that there's going to be no fearance on people actually laying that 1,500, 1,700 straight. It's hard to put in a parlay, obviously, you know that as well, being that high. So there is going to be some takers on Rousey because they think it's just a lock, like you said. And then, of course, you always get dog action on a huge underdog like that. She is at home as well, so a lot of people, from Brazil, we're going to have some international people coming in and betting Correia, more of the square public, honestly, and more of the people just kind of blindly betting a huge dog hoping that she comes through. So they are going to probably need, believe it or not, Rousey to come through slightly, but we're not going to get a ton of action on this fight, so the books really don't care. It's just nice to have a fight like this with a name like Rousey that will bring even more action to the rest of the card.
Well, let's go back to James Lynch. Not just the sides here are out of whack. The total, the under 1.5 is -330. Now, Ronda Rousey has been on record saying that she wants to extend this fight, right? Because she's offended about what Correia said, and she wants to punish her. She wants to, make her look different than when she walked into the octagon, shove her nose into her brain, whatever she wants to do. She's on record saying she wants to extend this. She doesn't want to have another 15-second, 30-second fight. So is that just all talk, or do you think maybe the over 1.5 rounds at +270 might have some value? I mean, when she says extend it, does that mean just a little bit further into the first round? What do you think, James?
It's tough to say. I mean, we don't know what that means as far as laying a beating on. Is she going to go drag it out a couple rounds, or is she going to get the job done early? I tend to think she still will finish this within the 1.5 over that's in there. I believe that she will get the job done sooner rather than later. I think she'll just put a beating on and get the job done. I mean, it's one thing to say that now, but to go into an arena in Brazil and have all these people booing at you and being sort of the enemy, I think that Rousey will want to get this one finished sooner rather than later.
Nick, let's talk about the total. Under 1.5, -330. I think I saw yesterday that it was just -280. So some action, I guess, has come in on the under, and I guess I can see the public leaning towards that, betting that. Not being afraid of that kind of juice. Has the public been betting the under?
Yes, they have. It opened at -165 on the under.
Wow.
So they went ridiculous with it. Of course, I mean the limits are lower, even more so when it opens on a total, and they moved it pretty big as the fight went because we're expecting people to bet Ronda under, especially 1.5 rounds. But now, man, I'll tell you what, if Bethe could hold on, I mean, if Correia could hold on, there might be some value on the over. But it is tough to say because even despite Rousey saying that she wants to extend this fight, she's not going to do that when she has the opportunity to finish. I mean, let's face it, when the arm's right there for her, you think she's just going to pass on it? She's going to finish the fight as quick as she can. I mean, she's going to want to dominate. She's been such a dominant champion. I mean, she's finished better competition quicker. So, yeah, I mean, when it's there, when the fight hits the floor, it's pretty much a wrap. And it should probably hit the floor, I would think, early in round one or, midway through or some point like that. So they're probably going to win that, and the sportsbooks are going to need over 1.5. But again, considering the early movement and the small limits, the books aren't going to even be that pounded on it. And I'm sure we're going to get some takers on over 1.5 at the plus money.
All right, James Lynch, if you had to bet this fight one way or another, would it be a prop? Would you take a shot with the under 1.5 at -330? What would you do?
There's two props I like here, Peter. I like Rousey wins in round one, which is currently -260. I think you can parlay that with another fighter on the card. I also like Rousey wins within 1 second and 1 minute and 1 second at +300. Definitely think that's worth a stab for sure.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Nick? Rousey in round one at just -260. I mean, why would anyone take Rousey at -1700 when they could have Rousey in round one for -260?
Because the limits are lower. I mean, that's the hard part there. I mean, so it's going to be smaller players taking that. But, I mean, if you can get down a nickel on something like that, that's fine. I mean, I think that's more than fair for a prop bet like that. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. If you're going to take it, that's what you go with. You go with that. But as far as a lot of times we don't talk about it. Like we have MMA Oddsbreaker Premium on our site as well. And honestly, we don't give out a lot of the prop bets maybe for free plays, but we try to stick and gear people more towards the bigger bets. Like people that can actually make the basically the sides and the totals where sportsbooks are taking more action on it. But you're right. I mean, as far as props, and if you're not too greedy, I know a lot of people complain about limits sometimes, but if you're not too greedy, yeah, if you want to take, gain a nickel here and there, that's definitely the spot to go.
Sure, $500, nothing to sneeze at least not for me. All right, maybe that's the best way to go. Ronda Rousey, first round, -260. Thanks so much, guys.